What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XCN OnyxCoin today. I want to take you through a little stroll through time with me today. All right, let's hold hands. Let's walk through this beautiful path together that XCN has been on all the way back in 2024. It's actually a very ugly, boring path. Up until recently, it's gotten exciting, but there's something that I've noticed, and I just want to point it out and see if I'm crazy. Right? Let's just see. So here you had a low. And throughout all this time, you saw that low. And it was very, very noticeable. I'm sure as the price came up, people were excited. And as it came down, they're like, well, as long as we're not below that low, we're fine. As it came lower, well, as long as we're not below that low, it's fine. Oh, we bounced off that low. Oh, we're finding support here. That's fine. And then finally, we had a flash crash. Took us below that very noticeable low that had all this time. And then we finally, after that flash crash, we came back up. Now, we were in a downtrend. We were in a bit of a downtrend for XCN. Now we're in an uptrend, so things are a bit different. So here, after we broke out of that very noticeable low, we had a nice recovery afterwards. Almost immediately after we went down, it was super quick, but then began growing back immediately. Right? It took less time to move down, but more time to move up. But again, I think that's because we were in a downtrend. Okay, now going forward again. Anybody who got excited, who got absolutely stoked that the price was moving up, they all see this low down here and they're like, well, as long as we're above that low, it's fine, right? We shouldn't go lower. And then, of course, you come down here, you bounce right off this low. We're on a 4-hour basis. You're bouncing off this low for maybe 8 hours, 12 hours right here. And then you find your low right below it. Oh no, we've broken this low. All hell's broken loose. And just kidding. We're back up above it in a matter of no time at all, finding support and moving higher, right? Keep going through here. And we can see now, right, that out of this range, we're finding lows here, right? We're finding lows here. And in fact, from this relative high, higher high, we found a low right there. As long as we're not going below this low, you guys, we're fine, right? Because we've got higher lows, higher highs. As long as we're not going below this low, we're fine. We keep finding support at it. And finally, right before we start moving up again, do you notice that we go right below this very obvious line, right? It just kind of happens. Same thing here, and it's at a lot smaller of a time scale, but here's your support area. Very noticeable, right? You find support. As long as we're above this low, we're fine, right? But no, you found a lower low. As soon as you find that slightly lower low, it happens super fast. You eat it up fast, and then inevitably begin growing, right? I'm just offering the same perspective, right? We found support at this low. As long as we're finding support at this low, you guys, we're okay, right? Oh no, we've broken below the low, and then we probably eat it back immediately and go back higher, right? If we were to go down, and I'm bringing up this point right now. I went through that little, I don't know how well that's going to be received or not. I don't know. It's not the most scientific thing. It's just something I feel like it makes sense. Maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. I don't know. Yeah, every time before you move up, there's a low, right? Every time you move down, there's a high, but I feel like that's not exactly what I'm saying. I feel like there's these times XCN does this, and I feel like it's very obvious what we just did, what we just looked at. XCN does this where it will fake you out and then rip. So make no mistake, my friends, if we go below 1.8 cents, it would probably happen super fast and be over just as fast. And I'm bringing this up now because I really did expect that we would get continuation out of this last bounce. And I know people hate it. You know, I'm talking about it going up one day, talking about it going down the next day, up, down, whatever. I mean, man, this whole thing has been very volatile. It's just how it happens. Realistically speaking, we're at basically this same exact price, maybe up a little bit higher. We might have been right at this low. I don't even remember. But around this same price when I was saying we're going to go up. So I think it's okay to flip-flop and say we're going to go down now, right? The price is flip-flopping. I can flip-flop. But if we look at the 4-hour time frame, and I want to say in case it isn't clear, I am starting to think that we go down. I'm not saying we do. I'm just more under the impression because generally speaking, you get 1, 2, 3 lows, that should be enough. But if you have 4, if you start hitting this line 4 times or more times, and it's a diagonal line, the odds that you hold it for support, in my opinion, they're not as strong. So, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm making this video because I think I don't think I'm wrong about this. I think I'm actually right about what I'm about to say. But I think there are a lot of you out there who are watching the price who, I don't know, might be seeing this area that we're at, this psychological level of 2 cents, and you might be thinking that if it breaks, we're screwed. We're going to zero. And then whenever you see that happen, you're going to really feel it, right? It's confirmation of what you were fearing this whole time, but really it's just what we see. It's what XCN does. It likes to fake you out before it goes higher. And in fact, that last move down, if we were to get it, would be a very strong indication that we're done with this consolidation phase as a whole. We might slowly kind of crawl out of it, but it's just going to be a matter of time, no time at all, that we start to expand and see new highs relative to this high up here at about 4.9 cents. So what this video is, what the purpose of this video is, in case it's not clear, is to prepare you for a flash crash, right? And I'm not saying it's going to happen. XCN is a fakey little coin. I think that it likes to fake out people a lot. And to me, it looks super obvious that it wants to go down, which is what makes me want to cling to the thought still that we're going to bounce from here and that we're going to find support. But, you know, we've stared death in the face once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I don't know about the 5th time, guys. I don't know if I'm feeling it this time. I feel like we might actually drop. I'm not calling for that. And I know that's confusing. Let me just say, I am sticking with my call, right? If it goes down, I will be wrong. If it goes up, I will be right. And that's just more out of me truly thinking that this is so obvious that it wants to go down, that by that metric alone, I think it's going to go up. And that might sound crazy, but if it happens, I made the right call, right? If it doesn't happen, I will be wrong. I'm absolutely wrong if the price goes down. But I'm more considering it now than I have throughout this whole range that we likely could go below 2 cents. We actually really could see, I say likely, I wouldn't say likely, but there's a strong chance that we go below 2 cents. And if we do, it would be a very fast move. It would be over before you know it. It probably would take you below this low, but just below this low. I would think we don't go all the way down to 1.6 cents. I don't think so. I think we find support somewhere just above it. In fact, doing the same kind of thing, I want to go through and just go through and look at this real quick. Relative to this low here, what did you see? Low to high. You went right down to your 1414, just below there. Okay. Relative to this move here, what did you see? Relative from this low to high, what did you see? You went down to your 1272. Okay, normal, not deep extensions, but just kind of relatively normal extensions. Going back, I mean, this is from before when we were starting to do it, right? Going back to this one here, what did you see? Low to high. 1414 again, so that 1414, reaching for the 1414 each time. If we were to do that same kind of theory, that same thought from this relative low to this relative high, your 1414 puts you at just below this line right here, which I don't think you go to. That would, I mean, I guess you could go to, but we also saw support at the 1272, so that's at 1.67 cents. The 1414 is just below 1.6 cents, and again, I don't think that you go below this high. I don't think that you interact with that high, but you could get really close to it. It's very possible. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong fib extension to measure. Maybe it's this low to high, and in which case you only go down to about 1.9 cents or 1.8 cents. And that would actually be fine. I think if we did go down to 1.9 or 1.8, that would be fine. We don't have to go below this low, but there's a lot in the charts that suggests that it's at least possible, right? This thing, again, it likes to trick you out. But if we were to go down to 1.9 cents, what this then looks like is it is just 3 peaks off of the low here. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just a different angle of this diagonal line, and I hate diagonal lines for that reason because you can just adjust them so much, right? Who cares? But you initially, even if you find a higher low and there is that diagonal line finding support for you, you're essentially finding support at this horizontal level still, right? Which would be fine in my opinion. I'm having a hard time with this one, but I want to stick with it, okay? I think that we're going to bounce. That's not me being stubborn. If I was being stubborn, I would just say it. I'd be like, I'm not giving it because I'm gonna be stubborn. I'm gonna stick to my guns. That's not what it is. I'm not sticking to my guns. I'm sticking to this little voice in the back of my head saying, this just seems too obvious. This flat base, these descending highs, the pessimism, the negativity in the crypto markets right now. Our crypto fear and greed index is sitting at a 40, which is 3 points higher than it was yesterday, but we've been in fear across the whole markets, right? I don't know. I have this feeling. I have this feeling that we could go higher. And the fact, actually, if we look at this thing on a 4-hour basis, right, you rejected here, you rejected your ribbon, you rejected it again, but you got into it quickly. Here you're getting a higher low off of this rejection. If you come back up, you guys, if we see prices above 2.14 cents, that would eliminate all of my worries that we could go to the downside. And again, there's a lot. I feel like the logical thing, the technical thing to do, and just based off of this thing's history alone, let alone what it's doing here, I feel like the logical thing to make sense out of would be that you go down, and not just down, but something around this low or right below it. Again, I don't think that we go to 1.6 cents, but something between 1.6 cents and maybe 1.8 cents, something down there. That seems logical to me. And it's literally by that definition that I think we're actually going to go up, because the reason why is not necessarily that it's wise to do its opposite of logic, but whenever it's super obvious, it might be, because I don't think I'm the only person looking at this with the kind of scope that we've got it. I'm not the only person with a brain who realizes that a descending triangle is a bearish formation, but I might be the only person with the brain who's been in this game long enough, who's been in the crypto space for 3 years, and who knows that while a bearish pattern, yes, a descending triangle is a bearish pattern and that has a more probable chance to break to the downside, that probability is something like 60% of the time it breaks to the downside, but only if you're in a bear market. Bearish patterns perform oftentimes whenever they are broken or busted patterns and you break out in the opposite direction that you expect. It's oftentimes in bull markets, right? And that's not something that everybody knows. That's something that it takes time to experience. Maybe it's your first cycle and you just heard that and now you got it right out the gate and you can take that with you forever. But we all learn it at different paces, right? And oftentimes it's the way that most people learn it is by being wrong, right? You anticipate something that's super obvious. You know what you're doing all the right analysis. The technical analysis is right, and still the price does something different. And this is where TA can be very frustrating, right? Because if you're not aware of the overall sentiment, you're not aware of the overall environment, you can really be thrown off as to what the trajectory is. But I don't know, man. I really do. I mean everything that I've said. I'm the most, let's say, concerned or acknowledging of the fact that we could go lower than this right now, because again, this bounce that we had that I was excited about earlier today, I thought that would be it. In this right now, it looks to me more like we would go down, but by ways of contrarianism, by ways of what herd mentality would dictate, I'm going to think opposite of the herd. I feel like a lot of people think that we're going to go down, and we definitely could. The 4 hour doesn't look bad. The 4 hour, here's the thing, guys, we've had so many opportunities to go down, and whenever you have opportunities to go down and you just don't do it, that often also leads to going to the upside, right? It's like you're on the brink. You're about to see new all-time highs. You're about to break through this low. Why don't you do it? I'm saying all new all-time highs because if we flip this over, if we invert the scale, it's like you're breaking out. We're going to see it, but you just don't do it. And you have all the reasons to do it, but you just don't do it. What does that normally mean? That means you roll over. And in this case, rolling over would actually be a pump. I don't know. Time will tell. We'll see how it goes. But if I'm wrong in assuming that we bounce from here, the lowest that I would think we go is probably something around 1.67 cents. Probably not below 1.6 cents, and at least below 1.8 cents is what I would guess. That's all I got for you. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more accounts like this. Absolutely, my friends, absolutely. The targets for 10 cents and beyond are very much on the table. None of that has changed. I hope you understand that. It's just I'm a little bit more worried. I might be the most worried or considerate of this possibility that we have a flash crash now. I know we've addressed it. I know we've talked about it throughout all this time, but this is the most that I've actually considered it as a genuine possibility to happen. So I'm making that, I'm putting that on your radar. I'm not admitting that I'm wrong. I'm sticking to my gun. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm not just sticking to my guns though, right? I'm sticking with my call because of the contrarianist in me. It's not stubborn, I promise you. It's not stubbornism, but I am addressing the lower prices just so that we're all prepared in case it does happen. Right? I'm not under the assumption that it happens yet, but I'm the most considerate of that. I don't know how to phrase it properly, where it says that I'm still more on the side of us pumping and less on the side of us dumping, but the side of us dumping has grown a little bit in my consideration recently. I don't know. I'm talking too much. The words are blurring together. I'm just gonna end the video, you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I hope it makes sense. I know what I'm trying to say. I just don't know how to say it sometimes. I hope it makes sense. All right, take care. Bye-bye.